You know, we see color literally every single moment of our waking lives. But have you ever really stopped to think about what it actually is? I mean, it feels so simple, right? So fundamental. But the truth is, color is one of the most complex, fascinating, and honestly, deeply personal experiences we can have.
And that brings us to a really fascinating question. Is that red apple you're picturing actually red? Or is that redness something that's created completely inside your own head? Well, the answer? It's not as simple as you might think. It's going to take us on a journey through physics, psychology, and yeah, even a little bit of philosophy.
Okay, so to even begin to crack that question, first things first, we have to start with the science. Before we can get into how color makes us feel, we've got to understand what it physically is and how we see it in the first place.
So our scientific journey with color, it really kicks off back in the 17th century with none other than Isaac Newton. He's the guy who first proved that white light isn't, well, pure. It's actually a mix of all the colors we can see, a total game changer. But almost right away, a debate sparked up. Yet thinkers like Goethe who were like, hold on, color isn't just physics, it's about the human experience. And you know what? That tension, that push and pull between objective science and our own subjective perception, that's pretty much defined how we've studied color ever since.
All right, so how do we actually create color? Well, it turns out there are two totally different ways to do it. The screen you're looking at right now, that's using what we call additive color. It starts with black, and then it adds red, green, and blue light together to make all the colors, including white. But when you're talking about, say, paint or ink for a printer, you're using subtractive color. That starts with white paper, and pigments like cyan, magenta, and yellow subtract or absorb light, and when you mix them all, you get black. So one process adds light, the other one takes it away. Simple as that.
Now, no matter how a color is made, you can pretty much describe any shade using just 3 dimensions. First up is hue. That's the easy one. It's just the basic color name, like red or green or blue. Then you've got saturation. Think of this as the intensity. Is it a kind of sad grayish blue, or is it a super vibrant electric blue? And finally, there's value. That's just how light or dark it is. Are we talking about a light sky blue or a deep navy blue? Seriously, every single color you can possibly imagine is just some combination of these 3 things.
All right, let's switch gears a bit and see how all this science gets put into practice. Because in the world of design, branding, and art, let me tell you, color is not just decoration. It is a powerful, powerful tool that's used with incredible precision and purpose.
So you might think designers just pick colors that look nice. But nope, there's a whole science to it. They use what are called color harmonies, basically recipes for combinations that our brains just find pleasing. For example, if you pick complementary colors, which are total opposites on the color wheel, like blue and orange, you get this massive, high-energy contrast. Think sports teams. But if you choose analogous colors, which are neighbors on the wheel, you get a much calmer, more serene feeling. Trust me, every choice is deliberate. It's all about creating a specific mood.
And when you talk about deliberate color choices, there is no better example than branding. I mean, just think about Coca-Cola. That specific, famous shade of red, that was no accident. It was chosen to scream energy, excitement, and some people say it even stimulates your appetite. It's so iconic, you don't even need to see the name. You see the red, and you know exactly what it is.
And that visual identity is just incredibly powerful. I mean, how powerful are we talking? Well, get this. Studies show that color alone can be responsible for up to 85% of brand recognition. 85%! Our brains are just hardwired to forge these super strong links between a color and a brand. It's like a subconscious shortcut that marketers count on big time.
And look, this effect isn't just for logos and brands. It literally shapes the physical world around us. I bet anyone who has ever had to pick a paint color for a room knows this is true. You take a small room and paint it a light, cool blue, and poof, it suddenly feels more open, more airy. But if you take that exact same room and paint it a dark, warm red, it immediately feels smaller, cozier, more intimate. We are literally using color to manipulate how we perceive space.
Which actually brings us perfectly to our next big topic. We've seen that color is a tool, but why does it work so well? Well, it's because colors aren't just wavelengths of light to our brains. They are deeply, deeply tied to our emotions, our culture, and our whole psychology. Yeah, in many cultures, certain colors just come with built-in emotional baggage. Red, for instance, tends to get our heart rate up. It's the color of urgency. Think stop signs, sale tags. Then you have blue, which feels calm, trustworthy, reliable. It's no wonder so many banks and tech companies use it. And green, of course, connects us to nature, health, tranquility.
Now, these aren't ironclad rules, but they are incredibly powerful psychological shortcuts that we all use. But, and this is a huge but, here's where it gets really complicated. These meanings are not universal. Not at all. What we assume about a color can be the complete opposite somewhere else. Take white. In the West, it's all about purity, weddings. But in many Eastern cultures, white is the color of mourning and funerals. Or how about red? To us, it can mean danger or passion. In China, it's the color of luck, prosperity, and it's the traditional color for brides. It just goes to show you, the meaning we attach to color isn't born in us. It's something we learn.
So if color doesn't have a fixed, universal meaning? Well, that brings us right back to where we started, doesn't it? Is color truly out there in the world? And this, my friends, leads us to the most mind-bending part of our journey, the philosophy of what it even means to see something.
Okay, I want to introduce you to a concept called qualia. It's a kind of fancy word, but it's for a really simple idea. It's the personal, internal feel of an experience. Let me put it this way. I can describe the wavelength of red light to you. I can tell you exactly how the cones in your eye are firing, but I can never describe the actual subjective feeling of seeing redness inside your head. That experience, that's your qualia, and it's totally, completely private to you.
And hey, if you think qualia sounds a little too abstract, just consider the very real neurological condition called synesthesia. This is where a person's senses get kind of cross-wired. For some people with synesthesia, hearing a specific musical note literally makes them see a distinct color. It's an incredible real-world example of just how subjective our perception of reality is. Their internal experience of color is fundamentally different from what most of us have.
Which all brings us to this classic thought experiment. Okay, you and I can both look at the same apple, and we can agree to call its color red. But is the raw internal experience of red that's happening in my mind identical to the raw experience of red happening in yours? Could my red actually be what you experience as blue? The crazy part is, we have absolutely no way of ever knowing for sure.
So when you get right down to it, we have to conclude that color isn't really a property of an object out there in the world. It's an experience. It's something created at the intersection of light, our eyes, and our brains. And that realization, that leaves us with one last really big question to chew on. If something we think of as being so fundamental as color is actually a subjective experience, what else that we take for granted in our world is too?